It's nothing short of a miracle that One Piece, Eiichiro Oda's pirate fantasy masterpiece, hasn't lost the plot yet. The anime started in 1999 and is well past 900 episodes. The manga on which it's based is closing in on 1,000 chapters. When an anime or manga has run for as long as One Piece has, it can be forgiven for losing its way. After all, it's happened to the best of them. Tite Kubo's Bleach was once part of the holy trinity of anime, the Big Three, along with One Piece and Naruto. Even Kishimoto's Naruto franchise, a longtime rival to One Piece, tested the patience of fans as it succumbed to the perils of too many filler episodes, inconsistent quality animation, and bizarre storylines during its 15-year-long run. Thankfully, it managed to keep viewers engaged with its superbly drawn fight sequences and wrap things up neatly when it came to an end in 2017. So what has Oda done better than Kubo or even Kishimoto for that matter? To start with, he's kept it simple. There's nothing complicated about the story of One Piece. It follows the rubber-limbed Monkey D. Luffy and his colourful pirate crew as they sail the Grand Line in search of a legendary treasure. On the voyage, they meet all kinds of adversaries and allies, experience adventures and thrills, and get stronger with each new encounter. It wouldn't be wrong to call Oda's story design simplistic. Each arc almost always starts with the Straw Hats coming to a town where an evil villain is making the good townsfolk suffer. Luffy and gang defeat the villain, rescue the town, have a grand party, and set off for newer shores. This should get repetitive, right? Wrong, because Oda tells a straightforward story with tremendous imagination and ingenuity. Take the places he creates, for instance. Water 7's a town of lakes and canals known for its shipwrights. Thriller Bark is a zombie-infested island that is, in reality, a giant haunted ship. Dressrosa is an outwardly prosperous country that secretly turns its citizens into toys. And Whole Cake Island is a smorgasbord of sweet treats ruled by one of the four most powerful pirates of the New World. Each place is unique and fully fleshed out with its own history, and together, these places form a world so adventurous and so inviting, it's impossible not to get drawn in. Similarly, Oda infuses the people inhabiting these magical lands with quirky traits. In Zou, a country that sits atop an ancient elephant, the upright and capable warriors who live there have animal-like characteristics. The underwater country of Ryugu is home to fishmen, mermaids, and even a starfish who's a fashion mogul. And the kingdom of Wano is awash with all the symbols of Japanese culture: samurai, ninjas, geishas, and sumo wrestlers. It's not just people and places that get a dose of Oda's creativity. In the One Piece universe, snails serve as telephones and take on the physical features of their human owners. Ancient blocks of text called poneglyphs hold the key to a long-forgotten history and a class of people who place themselves above all else in bubbles, quite literally. Even the power source, which lies at the heart of shonen anime, is distinctly unusual in One Piece. Naruto's ninjas get their power from a form of energy called chakra. For the Soul Reapers of Bleach, power comes from their Zanpakuto or swords. The hunters of Hunter x Hunter power up on a complicated system of life energy called Nen. In One Piece, devil fruits provide the necessary power trip. Luffy becomes a rubber man after eating the Gum Gum fruit. Trafalgar Law's called the Surgeon of Death because of the Ope Ope Nomi fruit gives him the power to perform miraculous surgeries, cure diseases with no known cure, and even chop people up without killing them. Similarly, Captain Buggy's ability to divide his body into pieces and control them comes from his Chop Chop fruit. These are just the tip of the iceberg in this wonderfully weird world of Oda's creation. Complementing Oda's creative genius is his unique art style. His drawings look like no one else's. They bear a stamp all of his own, much like Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball. Oda's art is so different that it can often be an acquired taste. There are many who hated it at first sight, only to fall in love with it after a few episodes or chapters. For example, take a look at the design of the main protagonist. With his saucer-like eyes and a grin that covers half of his face, Luffy probably has the most basic design of all characters. There's nothing heroic about that face at all, and yet it perfectly captures the essence of the goofy, free-spirited man-boy that's the captain of the Straw Hats. Oda uses these clever little tricks in his character designs. He draws compulsive liar Usopp with a long Pinocchio nose. Sanji's twirly eyebrows somehow seem to be a dead giveaway that the talented chef is also a hopeless ladies' man. Don Quixote do Flamingo, one of the show's villains, lives up to his name by wearing a flashy pink feather coat. Oda puts the same effort into secondary and minor characters too. Mad scientist Caesar Clown's gaseous appearance and purple lips are telltale signs not only of his devil fruit powers, but also of his occupation, which is to manufacture chemical weapons. And the deep scars that crisscross Laboon's head hold the promise of a reunion between the whale and his long-lost friend Brooke. If you've watched One Piece, you get the distinct feeling that its creator is having the time of his life bringing his characters to life and drawing them in various situations. What else would explain the ridiculous expressions on the faces of Frankie, Usopp, Zoro, and even the serious Robin when they discover what Luffy has been up to in Wano? The only logical reason we can come up with those over-the-top faces is that the artist was cracking a private joke while sitting at his drawing board. What's more, when volume 93 of the manga was released recently, Oda cheekily revealed the faces of the rest of the Straw Hats in response to a fan's request. But aside from using his art to deliver laughs, Oda is a master of conveying emotion through his drawings, even getting the degree of emotion just right. A perfect illustration of this is Luffy's hollow-eyed expression with his mouth wide open in a silent scream in the aftermath of Ace's death. One look at that face and we know exactly how overcome by grief he is. But it's not just his characters that end up richer from Oda's pen strokes. His landscapes are just as intricately detailed. Dressrosa is a country with rolling fields of flowers and a giant gladiatorial coliseum. In the Sky Island of Skypiea, the landscape ranges from a cloudy beach and a lively high street to an ancient city of ruins, all connected by a giant beanstalk, aptly named Giant Jack. The fairy tale theme continues in Whole Cake Island, where Oda creates a magical forest of cake and candy that gives off the same feeling as Hansel and Gretel's chocolate house. Except this fairy tale forest comes with a twist. All the sweet treats, along with the trees and flowers, are all living beings. No discussion on One Piece is complete without mentioning its characters. The show has given us some of the most memorable characters in anime, and it goes without saying that it's the manual on how to write compelling villains. Crocodile, Enel, Blackbeard, Kaido, they're all amazing. But let's talk about Doffy here. The ruler of Dressrosa is a war machine. His factories produce deadly weapons and fake devil fruits that he supplies to warring nations and pirate groups. Doffy forces his citizens to work in these factories as slaves. He's ruthless enough to have killed his father and brother. Doffy's pure evil, and Oda leaves us in no doubt of this fact. Yes, he's got a tragic backstory. Doffy's born a child of privilege in a family of celestial dragons that persecute along with his family when they give up their elite status. He watches his family come under attack, his house burn down, his mother succumb to starvation and disease. Does this excuse him for his wrongdoings? No. It doesn't, does it? Because let's face it, Doffy was evil even as a child. He enjoyed the cruelty and excesses his status allowed him to indulge in, and he resented his father all for giving it up for a life of misery. The tragedy he goes through as a child doesn't redeem him, it just reinforces his villainy. Yet he's as every bit as charismatic as he is wicked. From his stylish clothes to his wheezy laugh, he's a handsome devil who makes you sit up and take notice of him. He's a character you definitely wouldn't mind seeing more of. One Piece is full of such weird and wonderfully written characters. There's a thieving, double-crossing pirate who loves cherry pies, a cross-dressing ballerina with a heart of gold, a gothic Lolita who can control ghosts, and even a government agent with a talking pigeon. Each character has their own personality, background, and quirk that makes them stand out. It could be a signature laugh, we know Oda loves that. It could be a meaningful scar, like Luffy or Zoro's. It could be a novel weapon, like Usopp's slingshot, which is a memento from his boyhood. Or it could simply be a behavioral trait, like Nami's manipulativeness, which she puts to great use while fighting a stronger opponent, or simply to hoodwink some poor chump out of his cash and valuables. Like his writing and art, Oda's characters are outrageous, excessive, even bordering on the ridiculous, but they never feel like caricatures. They're entertaining as hell and extremely believable. They say the hallmark of a good anime is character development. In One Piece, the main characters go through trials and tribulations and change as a result of it, but this show's not as much a grand personal saga as it is a tale of wild adventure. So in many ways, the characters are the same as when we first made their acquaintance. This isn't a lack of development. I believe this is a deliberate strategy to keep viewers invested in their favorite characters and the traits that made them like these characters in the first place. This is one of the reasons why this long-running show has made a place for itself in our hearts and guarded that spot fiercely. In a world where fans change loyalties faster than Sanji changes sweethearts, that is a feat few can achieve. A large chunk of the credit for this goes to Oda's meticulous planning. The mangaka is said to have had the story and characters of One Piece figured out in his head a long time before the manga and anime became a reality. This is why the narrative has remained consistent and not faltered like other long-form series. That he believes in planning ahead is obvious from the little breadcrumb trails he likes to leave us in the narrative. For instance, in episode 381 in the Thriller Bark arc, a minor character, Lola, casually mentions her mother to Nami, referring to her as a famous pirate in the New World. That famous pirate turns out to be none other than Big Mom, the Yonko Luffy picks a fight with a good 200 episodes later. And it's only in episode 786 that Big Mom finally makes an appearance. Then there's the revelation in episode 746 of Sanji's Wanted poster, where the words "Only Alive" drops a huge hint about his backstory. His identity as a prince of Germa Kingdom is revealed much later and forms the crux of the whole Cake Island arc and the Straw Hats' beef with Big Mom. It's perhaps his habit of planning ahead that gives wings to Oda's writing. His fights are always intense and inventive, keeping viewers hooked even if they do sometimes go on forever. His jokes almost always hit the mark too, and for a guy who writes a light-hearted series, his writing really shines in heavier moments of conflict and sadness. The fight between Luffy and Usopp, two of the show's biggest goofballs, is so sad it can have you running for the tissues. Similarly, the Robin and Sanji rescue plots have some of the most emotionally intense moments in the entire series. Oda plans to wrap up One Piece in the next 5 years. That's what he reportedly said in an interview with some YouTubers who visited his studio in 2019. To fans of the anime, this might actually seem like a very short period of time. Given that there's quite a few plot lines that have been left unresolved, it gives rise to concerns about how Oda will manage to accomplish all he has set out to do. The list is quite long. Zoro has yet to fulfill his vow of becoming the strongest swordsman in the world by defeating Dracula Mihawk, the man who currently holds the title. There's the anticipated showdown between Luffy and the despicable Blackbeard, and probably Akainu too, because we all want him to avenge Ace, don't we? The mysteries of the Poneglyphs and the Void Century also need to be cleared up, and of course, Luffy needs to find the elusive One Piece and become the king of the pirates, as he keeps reminding us every single episode. So many questions, so little time. But should we be worried? I don't think so, because with Oda's track record, we can expect the next 5 years to be full of action and adventure on the high seas, and a completely satisfying conclusion doesn't seem that far-fetched either. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you found it informative or entertaining, press the like button and leave a comment in the section below. If you like such videos, subscribe to my channel too. That would be really awesome. I'll see you again next time with a brand new video.